up, they want to run the go with the peel route. We still good on the backside. We haven't changed anything in the defense. We have just simply made an alert right here, and also we made and kind of audible ourselves on defense and made some changes. So as you see here, all we've really done is the word box is just what it says. We created a box. The backer has the low, the Mike has the inside, free safety has the inside quarter, and the corner has the outside quarter. Next, cube. Here's the difference. Cube means the corner is going to be our flat defender. All right. Our free safety is going to be our outside quarter player. Our boundary safety is now going to be our inside quarter player. Our Sam will sit right in the middle, and our Mike will be our inside low player. Okay. So what it typically leaves us with, man on the other side. So if they want to try and run post across the field, they got the backside safety simply playing that. And again, those rules kind of stay in place for him because a lot of people call it 4 special, where he's reading the 3 vertical and so forth. But again, this gives us 5 defenders in a cube, and a cube is also a box. It's just another way of saying it. We use cube to say that the backer has the outside flat. Cube means that the corner has the outside flat. That's all we've done. All right, and that's just a different way to play. And we know we got man concept backside. So if he does this, the wheel knows he has the running back, and so forth and so on. That's just a different way to play. All right, Pino. This is where it's a little fun. We have to be playing man. They come out into it. All right, they get a chance to come out, and we're in a man concept. We may be blitzing somebody. All Pino is, our Sam is going to pin. All right, he's going to pin the point. Whoever's happened to be on the point, and what we call the point is the person that is on the line of scrimmage. That is the point guy. We're going to pin him because typically what you get in a bunch set is a switch route on the backside. So if you eliminate the pin man, the point man, all you get is a stack formation in the back. And what do you get out of stack? A lot of switch routes. All right. So all we're playing is, I'll erase this to clear it up. We're going to pin the point, and we're playing in and out, okay? And this is how we do in and out. This is our signal. We're playing in and out on 1 and 3. So when they declare themselves, they want to run here. Corner will take him man. If he wants to run here, free safety will take him man. All right? Again, pin the point. Let's just say they want to run the verticals. No problem. No big deal. We cover him here. We cover him here. Our Sam knows he has the point. He still has man. All right. We still have man coverage here, and he's a free player. Okay. So again, that's another way to do it, and we call that Pino. That simply stands for pin. It also stands for in and out. All right. Pino, Pino, Pino. And again, man coverage here, backside with the wheel.
Since giving Temptations Parade to Buttons, we're spending a lot more time together. Some people even say we're starting to look alike. Hear that, Buttons? They think you look like a human. Or else they think I look like a cat.
Again, coaches, man, I appreciate it. Again, these are just some simple ways to defend if you're starting to get a lot of bunch or stack sets, and you're getting a lot of miscommunication. This is a very simple way to make it happen. It's a very simple way to teach it. And if you notice, it all stacks right on top of each other like Lego blocks. They all work together. I just want to say again, thank you guys very much. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Please leave a comment if you have any questions. Also, please leave a comment if you have another way to defend it. Again, I don't know everything, don't claim to know everything, and I would love to learn something else. So again, see you guys at 50-yard line. I messed that up. See you guys at the 50-yard line, and have a great day. Welcome to another episode of Coach H Football. Today we're going to take an in-depth look at palms or two reads versus two detached wide receivers. But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscription button as well as the notification bell so you're notified of the newest content. We'll be right back. Again, we're taking an in-depth look of our two-read palms coverage. Again, I'm just going to call it two-read for argument's sake. I know some people call it palms, some people call it blue, pink, purple. I don't care. You call it whatever you choose. I have an actual different name, but I do that because I like to categorize stuff a little bit differently, and I have a video that talks about categorizing your plays, and I'll put that in the card over my head, wherever that is. You'll see it pop up here in a second. You can click that so you can see how to categorize plays. But anyhow, let's go ahead and let's talk about two-read. Let's talk about some of the rules to it. Let's talk about how we're going to structure this and make it easy for the players, and that way they can grasp the concept pretty easy. All right, first thing that we're going to do, all right, the very first rule is, okay, is we have to alignment, okay? So our alignment is going to be the same as our quarters coverage, what we always look like, all right? We're not going to change. I pretty much put our corners, I put them at 7 yards, okay? Flat foot read. Now they may be inside or outside leverage based on the divider line. And again, I have another video talking about divider lines. I'll put that in the card above my head here in a second as well. Our safeties, okay? The safeties, they're typically at 12 yards. That's where we are. Now, these are just kind of defaults, you know, in the sense of what it is, but based on your talent and based on what this kid can and can't do, sometimes you got to put him at 15 yards, sometimes you can put him at 10 and he can get away with it because he's just that talented. That's up to you as a coach. You got to tweak it and figure out where that sweet spot is for that kid. All right, so that's kind of where they are. And then our linebacker, all right, he is going to be inside leverage, all right, and this is important, inside leverage, a number two wide receiver. That's the text. All right. So now he's inside leverage of the number 2 wide receiver. All right. Next thing we're going to do is the communication. We're going to have to communicate this. I always put, and I'm going to mark this here. The safety is in charge of the communication. Why? Because he has the deepest look at it. He can tell the split of the receivers, and a lot of times we do ours based on the split of the receivers. I don't typically call it as a particular play. I let them make an adjustment to it based on the split of the receivers, and I'm going to go over that as well. Okay, so the safety is in charge of making that call. How that's done, he'll let them know. To read, that corner. The only way they're going to play that is that corner sticks his hand out and he gives the thumbs up to say, hey, I heard you, check, all right? And that's another reason why the safety is, because that way the corner doesn't have to turn around to the safety to let him know he wants to play to read. I'll leave it up to the safety to say, hey, read. That corner must put his hand out with his thumb up to say, hey, I heard you, we're on the same page, all right? And that's very important because, again, the band is playing, mom's screaming, all these different things are going on. You got a lot of distractions out there, coach probably yelling in your ear, and if you don't give him that check off, you have a catastrophe out there because you got one guy thinking one thing, another guy thinking something else. Before you know it, you got open receivers, aka blown coverage. All right. So here's what we did. We already talked about the first thing is alignment. Okay. We're going to still look like our cover 4 shell. Still, everything is going to still look the same. We talked about this, the corner. We're going to put him at 7 yards. All right. So I'll just put 7 yards right here. Okay, so 7 yards. Now notice I have him inside. Why do I have him inside? Based on our divider line is whether he lines up inside or outside of that receiver. Okay, and again I have a video talking about that. I'll put it up in the description as well as I'll put it on one of the cards there. Our safety, he's going to be outside leverage of number 2. Why does he have to be outside leverage of number 2? Is because we're still talking about force players. And who is the force player? All right, so in this right here, this defense, our free safety will be our force player. So remember, palms is just a check and alert to what we do. So he'll be our force player. All right, and our Sam backer, for this demonstration, he'll be inside leverage there. Okay, so we talked about next is the alignment, and we talked about some spacing, and this is very important. Okay, the spacing. I always say this. Okay, the spacing between the 2 receivers, all right? If it's 7+ yards between the 2 of them, and you don't have to have a ruler, all right? But if it's 7+ yards between the 2 of them, we can automatically go. They can check that if they choose to. But who's in charge of checking that? The free safety is in charge of making the 2-read check. Okay? So the free safety is in charge of making that check. He's got to call out, read. If that corner doesn't put his hand out with his thumb up, and we're still playing quarters, we're not playing read. He has to get that call from that corner. All right? Because if he doesn't get that, we're going to do it on 2 different pages. So like I always used to say, if we're all wrong, we're all right. As long as we're all on the same page. Okay? So that makes sense. Okay? So now that's very simple. All right? How we line up to this? And again, the Sam Backer, he's playing inside leverage of this guy, and he's actually reading him for the mesh. So we talk about the mesh and got a video on that as well too. So we got plenty of videos on a bunch of different things. So that's how we line up to it. That's how we determine if we're going to make this call or not. The call is made based on the spacing of the 2 wide receivers. I don't typically call it from the sideline. That is an alert. That is an audible, a defensive audible, I guess, if you want to say, that check they can make on the field. And if I feel like I trust those guys enough, guess what? I give them the free reign to do so. If I don't trust them, they don't get the free reign. So now let's talk about how we execute it. Here's what it is. Very first thing that we see right now, we have what we call a 2-to-1 read. Okay? What does that mean? That means that the free safety, okay, and the corner are going to read the number 2 receiver to the number 1 receiver. If the number 2 receiver does anything out, and again, this is where it gets a little shaky for some coaches. You know, is it just a bubble? Is it minus, meaning behind the line of scrimmage? Is it a quick out? Is it 5 yards? You have to determine that based on the talent of your players, based on their football IQ, and based on their ability. All right? But just as a thumb, or I guess a rule of thumb, is that anything that is immediately out, that is going to trigger us to go into a read defense. Okay? So, what are those different routes? That's the bubble. Okay? That's a quick out, and like a speed out. All right? And even, and for myself, even if he doesn't feel like he's pushing, okay, and it's all based on this corner, he's the one who has to trigger. If he doesn't feel threatened and he wants to take it, the free safety has to know that he has to look at 2, but as he's making that out, he's going to take his eyes straight to the number 1. He can see if his player, if his homie is firing off. If his homie is firing off, his eyes immediately go to 1, and he'll play that. So any one of these routes, okay, and I always like to say, 5 yards or less, okay? So 5 yards or less, anything that's 5 yards or less can trigger, all right? That can turn us on to play our read defense, okay? All right, so here's where it gets a little tricky, all right? So let's just say he runs the bubble for argument's sake, okay? He wants to run the bubble. That's going to trigger our corner to turn on, okay? This is where it gets tricky, guys, and this is where you have to have some rules set. Because he's inside leverage, I leave it up to the corner, all right? He knows that he has to make this play outside because he now turns on to become the 4th player in this defense. When we're playing quarters, the free safety was the 4th player. Now that he's done this, it's triggered us in basically to a cover 2. So who is your 4th player now? Your corner. So him being 7 yards is where it gets a little tricky. If he goes inside and gets pinned by this guy, and he gets outside, we're in trouble. Okay? This is knowing the talent of your players. If he goes inside and gets pinned, here, now it becomes a one-on-one and a lot of grass field, and the other guys can't come in pursuit to the ball. So now let's just say we get the bubble right now. Here's where it gets a little tricky, coaches. Even though I know he's inside leverage, remember this defense just went from being quarters and the free safety being a 4th player to now the corner being a 4th player. If that ball ever gets outside of the corner, it's going to probably be a very big gain, if not a touchdown. Why? Because the pursuit is on the other side of the field and they have to make it away. So by the time they make it, it's too late, okay? So he knows that right now he has to work his way and get outside and create and build that wall, all right? And I talk about building a wall on defense. Why? Because now you got help inside. All right, and all those guys coming. If he ever gets outside that wall, it's a free-for-all. All right. So once he builds that wall, we're in good shape. Now, the eyes of the free safety. Here's the beauty of this. To be honest with you, if it's a 2